Welcome back, students, to Political Science lessons on AGBAJE. In our previous lessons, we have learnt about two organs of the OAU, which are the Assembly of Heads of State and Government and the Council of Ministers. Let us revise what we learnt about these two organs of the Organization of African Unity. First, the Assembly is the highest decision-making organ of the OAU. The Assembly decides on issues through a two-thirds majority vote. The Assembly discusses on issues that are of international importance to member states in the OAU, and the Assembly appoints key officials in the OAU such as the Chairman of the Assembly and the Secretary-General. The Council of Ministers is the second most powerful organ of the OAU. It is made up of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of each member states in the OAU. The Council prepares the agenda for the meeting of the OAU's Assembly. The Council approves the annual budget of the OAU. The Council implements decisions made by the OAU's Assembly. Lastly, the Council makes recommendations to the Assembly over issues such as the admission of new member into the OAU or the appointment of a new Secretary-General. Today, I will teach you about the third organ of the Organization of African Unity, which is the General Secretariat. The General Secretariat is the office of the OAU Secretary-General. Do you know who a Secretary-General is? A Secretary-General is the Chief Administrative Officer of an international organization who is responsible for overseeing the day-to-day activities and carrying out the policies and decisions of the organization's governing body. A Secretary-General also stands as an official who represents the organization at international forums with the aim of promoting the organization's interests and goals. The Secretary-General is the head of the OAU's General Secretariat. The headquarters of the General Secretariat was located at Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. The Secretary-General of the OAU is appointed by the OAU's Assembly of Heads of State and Government and stays in office for a period of 4 years and also may even be reappointed for a second term of another 4 years. The main duty of the Secretary-General is to serve the organization and carry out its decisions. This is why the Secretary-General is called the Chief Administrative Officer of the OAU, who is responsible for carrying out the policies made by the OAU's Assembly. Let me now teach you about functions performed by the OAU's General Secretariat. First is administrative functions. This entails that the General Secretariat is responsible for carrying out and ensuring that all the decisions, policies, and mandates made by the OAU's Assembly is implemented. This again emphasizes the responsibility of the Secretary-General, who is the head of the General Secretariat, only that this time it explains the duty of the General Secretariat as a body, which is ensuring that all the plans made by the Assembly is actioned. So, the first function of the OAU's General Secretariat is the performance of administrative functions. Another function of the General Secretariat is representation. The General Secretariat represents the OAU at joint conferences with other international or regional organizations to discuss issues affecting Africa. Issues such as insecurity, fundamental human rights protection, and economic development. When joint conferences like this hold, the General Secretariat as well as other diplomatic entities attend to represent the various organizations which they belong to. Also, the General Secretariat prepares the agenda for the meetings of the Council of Ministers. The meetings of the OAU's Council of Ministers usually takes place at the General Secretariat. So, the General Secretariat prepares the agenda for these meetings. Another function of the General Secretariat was the preparation of the annual report of the activities of the organization. The annual report is a document that contains all the activities carried out by the OAU in that particular year. The annual report also accounts for how these activities were financed. The preparation of the annual report of the activities of the OAU was one of the primary functions of the General Secretariat. Another primary function of the OAU's General Secretariat was the preparation of the annual budget of the organization. The annual budget is a detailed financial plan that outlines the estimated incomes and expenses of the organization for a year. It usually contains how much funding, or how much it will cost the organization to carry out various projects in that particular year. This yearly plan was first prepared by the OAU's General Secretariat before it is then approved by the Council of Ministers. The primary things which you need to know about the OAU's General Secretariat include: the General Secretariat is the executive organ of the OAU. The head of the General Secretariat is the Secretary-General. The Secretary-General heads the Secretariat for a period of 4 years and may be reappointed for another 4 years. The General Secretariat carries out the decisions made by the OAU's Assembly. The agenda for the meeting of the Council of Ministers is prepared by the General Secretariat, and lastly, the annual report and budget of the OAU is prepared by the General Secretariat. These are the main things which you need to know about the OAU's General Secretariat. In our next class, we learn about the fourth organ of the OAU, which was the Commission of Mediation, Conciliation, and Arbitration. See you in the next class, and bye for now.